Hello everyone, it's Zigzag and welcome to another GeoGuessr video. Today I've got an exciting one for you because I finally managed to beat Eddie O'Neill's world record on the A-Balanced Australia map. I managed to pull a streak of 44. So today I've got an analysis video where I just go through some of the rounds and just explain how I got there on a lot of them. And yeah, there were some really exciting rounds in here, some really good gambles that paid off, and I think it will be entertaining for you. Just a few more things. I have opened a Twitter account, so go ahead and follow me there. Also, if you want to discuss anything related to the A-Balanced Australia streaking community, we have that going on my Discord. There will be an invite in the description. And also, we've just opened a new leaderboard there, so come and submit your records there. And I'm thinking of having a separate category also for people who are not Australians, so feel free to come and join in on that. But without further ado, let us get into the video. So the first round was on Victoria, and I only needed to pan a little bit to my left there to see the bus stop, which is a Victoria-only bus stop, and I ended up getting more or less in the right area, which was good. The next round was in New South Wales, and I actually managed to glean that mostly just from the landscape, but also because the reflectors had the longer reflectors rather than the shorter ones that you'd often see in Queensland. But it ended up being a lot further south than I thought. This one was a really good guess. I saw a Northern Territory pole, and I saw that the road was fairly straight, and I just clicked in the middle of the straightness, and I was 400 meters away, which was pretty crazy, because, I mean, it's hard to get 400 meters away in a town, let alone on one of the longest roads in Australia. Anyway, the next one, yep, I saw the yellow number plate on the car behind me, so I thought that likely meant it was going to be New South Wales. The landscape, I probably may have gone for Queensland on that one, if it wasn't for that number plate, but that's how legendary runs are made. You need a bit of that luck. Next one, we had a sign that said Port Augusta, so I simply went ahead and clicked in Port Augusta. That was simple enough. Saw the railroads, definitely knew I was there. And also there was Stobie Pulse, so it was without a doubt in South Australia. And so we ended up with 19k on the first round, and one really nice guess in the Northern Territory there. Alright, so next one, I can see from the dirt colour that this one was just going to be Western Australia. Yeah, there's not really too much to say. I mean, that pole looks Western Australian. It's quite thick. They tend to use thicker wood over there, I find. Next one we have Batman Bridge. And we have definitely a really crappy Gen 2 here. So I was immediately thinking of Tasmania, and I could see some hills in the background. So I was just looking for some bridges. I thought this was further south. And I searched for a bit here, but yeah, ends up being further north. So yeah, that was fine though. Next one, I saw the Possum Guard, the olive green Possum Guard, which is a Tasmania only thing. And so I just clicked in the north, and it was. Next one, I immediately was thinking South Australia because we have this kind of white dirt on the side of the road, and more importantly, it's very flat because this type of round could be something you might see in Victoria if it wasn't so flat, and that really becomes the deciding factor a lot of the time when you're guessing out in this area. So I guess fairly far north ends up being a bit further south. Probably wouldn't have been that white that far north. Next one we have a Gen 2, but we have the yellow pole, so I know it's Western Australia, and I probably would have got it anyway because of that dirt colour. Again, it's like that kind of browny orange dirt colour, and yep, that was putting us on to 10. But the hard rounds were to come. We had a fairly easy seed so far, I would say. Okay, next one, we have the yellow pole again, and there's also a Western Australian bus stop there, and so I guess a bit south of Perth, and yeah, it is a bit south of Perth, but a bit further north than I thought. Next one, we got the same old dirt colour that I was telling you about, and this kind of round with those shrubs on the side of the road you often see just outside of Perth. Now here's the first hard round of the game, and you can see we have that same kind of orangish dirt. However, we have all this shrubbery coming right up to the side of the road, and for that reason I was thinking it could either be Western Australia or Kangaroo Island, because Kangaroo Island looks a lot like Western Australia, and it's also only Gen 2 and 1. So Kangaroo Island is what I went with. Yep, because of that shrubbery on the side, and we got it. So I was really happy with that guess. Next one, I mean, I was just able to find the right bridge, so I can probably skip through that. Yeah, ended up going there, found the 27 and guessed, so 1.6 kilometers away, not bad. Next one was looking typical Tasmania right off the bat, and I thought I could see a green possum guard there, so I just went for it. It was very hilly as well, so I think not quite in the right region. I was expecting that one to be where I clicked, so I guess that's why I clicked there, but yeah. Okay, next round was another one with this red soil, and yep, I'm pretty sure those are just Western Australian poles, so just went for it. And a bit further north than I thought, actually up near Geraldton. Alright, this one requires a bit of road angling, I think. But I saw the short reflector there, so I thought, okay, must be South Australia. I was searching around on the Nullarbor road because clearly Null Arbor means no trees, and we've got no trees here. It looks definitely like a Nullarbor round. In the end, I discovered that there was a area over here where the road angle fits better, and so I ended up with 21 kilometers away, which is a pretty good guess. I was pretty happy with that one. Okay, here we are again, and this one was an interesting round. So you can see we have this dead orange soil that I was telling you about for Western Australia. However, this one's very hilly. Like, look at these hills. They look like Victorian hills. They're fairly tall for Western Australia. In fact, you will almost never see hills this tall in Western Australia. It's quite an anomaly. This one little area, northeast of Perth. So eventually I decided on here, and I find these hills, and yeah, that's pretty much the only place where it could have been, so I wasn't exactly surprised to get it, but it was a tough round nevertheless. Okay, this one was an easy Northern Territory with the Northern Territory poles, and it was very green. And here's one of the first hard ones, so I'll just skip through here. It's just a very, very generic looking round. This one honestly could have been anywhere, Tasmania to Queensland, but I will skip through because I think I took a long time to just suss out the entire location. I ended up going for Victoria, and yeah, it was in Victoria on the way to Melbourne. I had actually forgotten where I went for that one. Definitely a tough round. Could have easily been New South Wales, I think. Okay, the next one. And we seem to have a Victorian fire pole there. And I think I may have remembered this round or something, because I actually managed to nail the town. Also, I remember now on that pole we had a Victorian light. I could go back and show, but can't really be bothered. So yeah, Shepparton, easy, 500 meters away, and we moved to 21. And in this one, we had a bunch of signs. So the signs, obviously, you're going to take a long time to just make sure you have everything correct when you have a round like this. And I'm just trying to think where this actually was. Yeah, so we had a bus stop over there. And yeah, certainly wasn't a Victorian bus stop, so I was happy about that because it did look fairly southern here. So yeah, very pleased to have at least had that bus stop to help me out. But of course, on a long run like this, you need a bit of luck. And yeah, so that bus stop, I ended up going for Sydney. And it ended up being Newcastle, actually, so wasn't exactly expecting that, but yeah, made life easy. And we had the black bottom bollard. Let's go back and look at that. So this bollard over here, the black bottom, Western Australia only, and so it made it a nice and easy guess. You don't really see that anywhere else. I mean, you'd be very unlucky to see that anywhere else apart from WA. And I actually got the region right as well, so I'm pleased with that. Okay, next one was a tough one. So we had these weird orange bollards and a fairly kind of coastal looking town. But if you go back, and I'll show you, you have this, oh, it's really hard to see. I didn't even zoom in much on it, but yeah, we have this yellow sign, kind of like the standard yellow sign within a green sign, and you do see those more frequently in New South Wales, so I just decided to let that dictate my guess, and yeah, I was very, very close, didn't expect to get that close. Right, this one, you can see the driveways are all very red, and because it's like a nice Gen 4 and like red driveways, I immediately thought Perth, and yeah, ended up being correct. It's that kind of red brick is very Perth-like, especially for pavement, especially in the center of a road or on a driveway or something like that. Okay, this one was a hard round. This one was definitely hard. I think I had this round at some point in the past, but to be honest, that didn't really fill me with confidence because look at it, it's really generic looking. This one, again, could be anywhere from New South Wales down to Tasmania. Definitely felt kind of southern, but it was hilly, and yeah, I don't know, but it's Gen 3, and that's the thing. This is what really made this round a tough one, because Gen 3 in Tasmania is quite rare, and it does end up being a Tasmania, I'm pretty sure at least, and yeah, you don't see Gen 3 in Tasmania so much, so it really took a lot of consideration here. That pole, I noticed, didn't really look like a Victorian pole, so that really helped me to decide. Also, this white dirt definitely looks more Victorian to me. Like, I do think like this could have easily ended there, but yep, ended up pulling it. Not much Gen 3 in Tasmania though, so I consider myself lucky there. This one really took some consideration. Off the bat, I really thought, with all these like one-story houses, bright green grass, I was immediately thinking that it was going to be Victoria, and this also looked like a Victorian fire pole. In fact, it probably had blue on the other side if I was to go and check it. But I just wasn't really sure, so I took my time and considered things here. I end up thinking about Bendigo, but I end up going Melbourne, and yeah, with the nice Gen 4, it makes sense, and we moved to 27, so all of a sudden, this run is looking very nice. Okay, so this one is a definite Queensland-New South Wales toss-up. I don't see any short reflectors, and I also see these interesting poles, which I was just putting my cursor over, which have like three things coming out, and also these double poles in the background. So I'll pause it so you can see these double poles in the background. Now this is one of my running theories, that these ones are much more common in New South Wales. Also with these like three, I don't even know what these are called, but these three ones over here, I'm starting to think that these ones might be New South Wales exclusive. One of my working theories at the moment, but that is the reason that I end up going for it. So I can probably skip forward a little bit here. Yeah. So I end up going on the border, and yeah, it was a bit further south near Dubbo. So I didn't really expect that, but that's good at least. Next up we have white soil and a Stobie pole, but it's very like rainy, kind of overcast, so I go very south, and yeah, ends up being south near Beachport there. Next time we have the yellow poles, so it becomes an easy WA. And pretty close as well. So that moved us to 30. So I think my record at this point was 31. So I actually managed to smash my record here. But it took some real determination. You're going to see some of these rounds coming up. I mean, look, we are not even halfway through the video, and we don't have too many rounds to come. That was an easy Queensland, just the landscape kind of dry with the Generation 4 with the antenna, so made things nice and easy. Took a moment to compose myself, but I saw a sign on the car dealership that said Christie's Beach, which is a suburb in southern Adelaide, right on the beach, obviously, so I took a moment to find it, and I thought we're probably on the main road here. I don't think I've ever been on this road necessarily, but maybe I have, but anyway, I found the double-laned road and guessed, and yep, I was 45 meters away, pulling the full 5k, so that was the first 5k of this run. And now we're on to a really difficult one again. So this one really had me stressed, because the grass kind of looks more northern, and so does that pole as well. I wasn't sure about that pole, but these kind of like I'll show you next time I pan around to them, these kind of avenues of trees, they were reminding me more of Victoria than of New South Wales. So I was really like trying to get anything I could here. Really just scouring the landscape. And so here, these trees over here, that kind of line of darker trees, and this one here as well, sorry, these ones really remind me more of Victoria. I don't really think you see that too much in New South Wales. And also you see these like distant kind of hills, kind of like one-off hills. It feels quite Victorian, but again, this grass really reminded me of New South Wales. So I'll skip forward. I think I took a long time to consider this one. And also the road, just, it didn't feel right. Like, I was really considering even far north in New South Wales, as you can see. But then I ended up, like, thinking, okay, realistically, there's, like, these kind of hilly areas here. Yeah, I end up clicking around here near Kyneton, and, no, I actually go near Ballarat. I think, like, this area, you can see I was indicating that with my cursor there that I thought this area was a pretty good shot. And, yep, it ends up being right near where I clicked, so that was pretty good. 33 streak. Okay, next one feels like a pretty straightforward Queensland to me. It's super green. We have this kind of this reddish soil, and we have a 4000s number starting with 4, and I think I remembered that is a Cairns like area code. and sure enough it is. So that was nice and easy. Next one is a straightforward Darwin one, but I still wanted to make sure that it wasn't Cairns or something far north in Queensland. And I actually end up finding the name of the road, and it was Trower Road or something, and so I just plonk it and go for it, and yeah, I was a bit over, but we still got 4,999 points, so I was happy with that, as you can see, and that moved us to 35, and here's where I turn down the music, because it's time to concentrate. That was a 23,000 game as well, so pretty nice, definitely. Okay, next one, and we have a South Australian exclusive sign here, so I was very pleased about that. And of course the landscape pretty much fit South Australia as well, and I was really happy with this guess because I don't know, I have spent time down there, but yeah, it was a really nice guess, 16 kilometers away. Okay, this one was torturous. So we have lots of hills on every direction, and it's very green, but here's the big kicker: the road is going east to west, and lots of the big roads in the Northern Territory, which look like this, are going north to south, and you have roads that look exactly like this with lots of hills, crucially with lots of hills in Western Australia. So I was very, very scared about this round, and this one ended up taking me a lot of time, but next time I zoom in on that sign, so yeah, I immediately go in and I'm looking at anything that like resembles this, so you can see that with the topography, it has a lot of hills around it, something like that. But yeah, just looking at the landscape, very, very green, and not all of these roads are covered, but yeah, I thought I could rule out Queensland. It's not going to be Queensland, and I was just looking in at this area here, so many hills, and yeah, I decided it's somewhere along this stretch. It's somewhere from here to where I initially clicked. I was looking at this road, this angle kind of fitted, and with the amount of hills, it probably fitted as well, so yeah, I was stressed out at this point. I was like, such a toss-up. But yeah, here you can see there's a little, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but there's a little bit of yellow here, and that's what actually ended up changing my decision. But I'm going to skip forward, way forward here, because I ended up using the road angle a little bit. Okay, I found this piece of road that actually fit the road angle. You can see I was facing the compass north and was able to find a road that kind of fit this kind of slant on the bottom of the screen, and I ended up getting 600 meters away, which is really crazy. I mean, I took some time to look at the mountains and everything, but that round was really crazy. And then of course the next round was like equally as difficult, because look, we have this salt and pepper road and this really orange sand, and you say like, well, obviously it's Northern Territory, right? But no, like there are rounds that look exactly like this in Western Australia. So this one becomes a massive search fest again. In fact, I can just skip forward here because I look for so long along all the roads, and we have some mountains to the south of where we get. So like to the north, it's all flat, and then to the south, you can see down here, we have like a line of mountains. And so I end up finding actually a line of mountains to the south of this road here. Yeah, you can see, you can barely make it out, but there is a line here of mountains, and actually that I thought actually fitted pretty well. And also the road angle, again, I'm lining it up with the compass, and so I was pretty happy with that, I think, and I just go for it. And again, 15 kilometers away, these Northern Territory guesses were coming in very nicely indeed. Okay, and we weren't being let off here, because there was another semi-difficult round here. You can see we have a little bit of writing on that bollard, and that definitely reminds me of Victoria. Definitely a Victorian thing to do. And to be honest, even though this round is kind of tough and rural, it definitely looked like a Victoria to me. So of course I took my time to work it out, but at the end of the day I was pretty happy, and yeah, got right around the right region in Victoria. And even though I'm on a 39 and that's gone for my PB, I still went quickly on WA here, because there's no other place in Australia that looks like that with that red sand, and we hit 40. So guys, you can see that this one, it was heating up, and the rounds were not getting easier. We had another tough one here. Lots of like grass and like this kind of reddish sand, which was really throwing me off. But again, this one kind of had a similar vibe to that previous Victorian one, so I'll skip forward a little bit here. And yep, I just took a long time to think about it, and ended up getting Northern Victoria, and yep, ended up being such. Again, like I was just taking a long time on these rounds, but this one, it was a pretty obvious Queensland. I was just being very cautious. So we had these numbers on the power line there. That's a Queensland thing. They're kind of like made of metal, and we had a vague redness to the number plates. So I was really quite sure. Wasn't quite sure how far north I thought it was, but yeah, ended up getting a bit north of Brisbane in Sunshine Coast, and ends up being correct. And then I was very pleased because at this point we're on world record, and yeah, I've been to the School of Languages there. I used to actually, well, I went to a few classes there for German, and yeah, with the Stobie polls, it was easy Adelaide, and I didn't even bother trying to pinpoint it because it was late at night. Okay, and this one was an easy Northern Territory to bring us to 44. And yep, so now let's analyze this final round where I managed to fail. Okay, so we did have kind of like a whitish soil, densely forested here, and we have like some quite green grass in the distance. You can see the grass quite green here, so I'll skip forward a little bit. So I actually turn around and I see a little bit of yellow on the end of this like highway railing, and of course, like you can tell, it's really hard to see what that actually is, but I thought that might be the New South Wales yellow thing that they put at the end of their guardrails. And so like I was thinking Victoria, but I thought that was probably going to be the thing that determined that I would go New South Wales here. And I was just looking at everything else. Yep, just looking at the truck. Obviously the trucks wouldn't have been a good clue anyway, because they just travel a lot, so you can't really glean too much off a truck. I do see some hills through this crack in the trees, and I'm like, ugh, definitely feels more Victorian, but at this point, like, I really wanted to trust the guardrail. And yeah, I also saw that little telephone sign, which I think, I mean, I know they do them in Victoria, but I can only assume they have the similar ones in other states too. And so you can see I click on Albury, but then click away, and yep, it ends up being right near Albury. So, yep. And the country streak ticks up, but no, we got the state wrong. And so we got 44 states in a row, which is the world record. The previous one was 41. So we'll see how long this lasts. I dare say it won't last too long, because on the Discord we are learning a lot. So yeah, if you are interested, definitely join my Discord, which I'll have a link to in the description, because we are normally talking about different things, and yeah, it's good fun. So I definitely think there are higher records to come. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you got some good information from this, and were entertained by what was a pretty good record, I think. Pretty pleased with it. It should have been 50, but the next rounds were tough. I checked them, so who knows how long it would have gone. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you hopefully when I get the next record.